The East Coast don't love Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg. The East Coast ain't got no love for Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg and Death Row. Y'all don't love us. Y'all don't love us.
Today, I've brought you an exclusive video presenting a complete chronology of the legendary 1995 Source Awards, a night that changed hip-hop forever. Many people have been requesting videos about this specific award show, asking why this night was so impactful. Today, you'll understand. Stay until the end. Leave a like to support, subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on the notification bell. Now, pay attention. The Source was the first and main magazine dedicated to hip-hop in the 90s and 2000s. Before the internet, there was only one publication for hip-hop fans and also for the rappers. It was founded by two white nerds, Harvard graduates, in 1988, and by 1991, The Source officially started distributing the Source Award to rappers and UMTV Rappers. The magazine had a section called Unsigned Hype, which was responsible for revealing hip-hop legends like Notorious B.I.G., who was first seen in this column, as well as DMX, Eminem, and several other established rappers today. The Source also rated hip-hop albums from 1 to 5 microphones. If the album received 5 microphones, it meant the album was a classic. No one disputed The Source. Since the magazine was already the biggest in hip-hop and liked to rate and award rappers, it was natural for them to create an award show just for rap artists, a hip-hop version of the Grammy. In April 1994, the first edition of the Source Awards was held. One of the most memorable moments of that night was when Tupac stormed the stage. He started performing the song I Don't Feel, while A Tribe Called Quest, who had just won the award for Best Album, was about to give their speech when Tupac took the microphone. Note, he wasn't scheduled to perform, he just handed the tape to the DJ and suddenly took the stage. Unfortunately, Tupac was in prison during the second award show, so he did not attend. Before moving on, it's important to mention that it was at this Source Awards that Sticky Fingers fired a gunshot into the air. In 1995, rap was at its peak, but it was also a difficult year. Eazy-E died of AIDS in March, Death Row Records was still going strong, but Bad Boy Records was the hottest music label at the time. And behind all this, there was the rivalry between the West Coast and the East Coast, which began after Tupac was shot at Quad Studios. But the tensions of this war escalated after the 1995 Source Awards. What made it even more notable was that this edition was televised, with all the 90s hip-hop gathered at Madison Square Garden that night. On August 3, 1995, the second annual Source Awards took place at the Paramount Theater in New York. The legendary 90s duo, Ed Lover and Dr. Dre, were the masters of ceremony that night. The event started with a medley from Death Row Records, for which Suge Knight spent $100,000 to stage this live spectacle, with artists starting their performances in a cell. Dr. Dre was the first to excite the crowd, singing Keep Their Heads Ringin'. He was followed by the Dog Pound duo, Daz and Corrupt, who performed a classic diss track. Lady of Rage came next, singing Afro Puffs, and Nate Dogg followed, performing his verses on Snoop Dogg's Ain't No Fun remix, followed by Sam Snead, who sang You Better Recognize, a feature with Dr. Dre. DJ Quick performed his hit Dollars Plus Cents, a diss towards MC8, who was in the audience watching the performance and even presented an award with Aaliyah. DJ Quick entered with a red bandana tied to the microphone, indicating his affiliation with the Bloods, while MC8 is from the Crips. DJ Quick knew where 8 was sitting and came in dissing him to his face, and this disrespect was legendary, marking the beginning of a controversial night. Snoop Dogg closed this legendary medley with a standout performance, and the Californian managed to make New York jump because he had the respect. Everyone listened to Snoop Dogg. The first award of the night was for the new solo artist of the year. Heavy D and The Boys were the presenters, and the nominees were Notorious B.I.G., Nas, Method Man, and Da Brat. The night started well for New York, as Notorious B.I.G. was the winner and the audience applauded greatly. Then, they announced the Group of the Year, and this was the first wave of tension. Salt and Pepper and Kid from Kid N Play presented the nominees, Bone Thugs and Harmony, Outkast, and Smith & Wesson. Surprisingly, Outkast, a group from Atlanta, the South, won the Best Group of the Year. When they went to receive the award, they heard some boos. Big Boy thanked and gave a shout out to New York, but Andre 3000 didn't let it slide. He made his speech and ended with the famous prophecy, "The South has something to say too." Andre almost managed to get New York to shift the course of their competition to the Klan, but it didn't last long. The next performance was by the Florida group 6ix9ine Boys, who sang their hit Tootsie Roll, which was popular that year. To get familiar with New York, they dressed as Harlem Globetrotters, but the audience didn't seem very excited during the performance. Even Debrat, who was from So So Def, didn't get much response from the audience during her performance. Wu-Tang Clan followed, announcing the award for R&B Artist of the Year, Group or Solo. Of course, the crowd loved it, cheering and applauding when the guys came out because New York was proud of this supergroup. The nominees were TLC, Mary J. Blige, Randy, and R. Kelly. New York won, Mary J. Blige was chosen, and the crowd loved it. The next award was dedicated to hip-hop pioneers. Fab Five Freddy announced the RNMC as the winners. This group is another pride of New York. Next came the award for Lyricist of the Year, presented by Patra and basketball player Charles Oakley. The nominees were Nas, Notorious B.I.G., Redman, and Big Mike. Notorious B.I.G. won again, making New York even prouder. The next announcement was for Video of the Year. Almighty RSO Show, a newcomer, and Mad Lion announced it. The nominees were Dr. Dre and Ice Cube with Natural Born Killers, Craig Mack with Flavor in Your Ear, Snoop Dogg with Murder Was the Case, and Coolio with Fantastic Voyage. California took this one, with Dr. Dre and Ice Cube winning. Only Dr. Dre received the award. Look at that, Ice Cube took the Best Acting Performance for the movie The Apprentice. He gave a shout out to the Death Row family and Eazy-E, who had passed away a few months earlier. Midway through the award show, the Bad Boy Records medley happened. A moment that got the crowd excited. Puff Daddy started the performance with a prayer while some words he recorded played in the background. Then Craig Mack came on singing the classic Flavor in Your Ear. Faith Evans sang You Used to Love Me. And Notorious B.I.G., with 2 awards, sang his feature Can't You See with the group Total. Then, he brought the group Junior Mafia and sang Players Anthem. Lil' Kim, as always, came back strong. Big finished with his chart-topping hit One More Chance. The entire label joined on stage. Some held up the platinum record and finished. Following that, Flavor Flav, Miss Jones, and the rapper AMD presented the award for Best Soundtrack. The nominees were Suge Knight for the soundtrack of the movie Above the Rim and also for the movie Murder Was the Case. The soundtracks of the movies Jason's Lyric and Poetic Justice were also nominated. California won this time. Suge Knight took the award for the soundtrack of Above the Rim. That's when one of the most memorable moments of the award show happened. He came in making provocations because Tupac was with them at death row. Then he threw a jab at Puff Daddy right to his face. As he was leaving, he ran straight into Danny Boy's elbow. Everyone started booing. Ed Lover and the other Dr. Dre had to calm the crowd. John Singleton and basketball player Sam Cassell announced the next award for Producer of the Year. Sam Cassell was being heckled because his team had beaten the New York Knicks in the NBA Finals. Before revealing the winner, John Singleton already started making jokes about it. But he quickly tried to raise awareness about the West Coast-East Coast War. Sam Cassell even announced the award with a frightened look. The nominated producers were DJ Premier, Dr. Dre, Easy M.O.B., and P.D. Ross. Before announcing, John Singleton warned that there could be trouble. California took this one. Dr. Dre was the winner. Despite this, the audience didn't disapprove of the choice. He arrogantly approached the microphone, shouting West Coast. When he left the microphone, Snoop Dogg, who wasn't even involved in the contest, took the opportunity to ask if the East Coast didn't have love for Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg. This was another memorable moment of the night, but it practically added more fuel to the fire. Dave Mays, one of the owners of The Source, and writer Mike Ellott announced the Lifetime Achievement Award, a Wheezy N. Bone Thugs-n-Harmony performed and gave an interview. Out of respect for the rapper, the group received positive feedback. The next award presented was for Solo Artist of the Year. Faith Evans and Puff Daddy were the presenters. Before announcing the winner, Puff Daddy responded to the show's comments. He could have added more fuel to the fire, but chose to be cautious. The nominees for Artist of the Year were Snoop Dogg, Scarface, Queen Latifah, and MC Eth. Point for California. Snoop Dogg was the winner. Despite Snoop Dogg being an artist under Suge Knight, he came and hugged Puff Daddy amicably, then hugged the others and gave his speech. Snoop Dogg was discreet this time and just thanked everyone. The next award for Artist of the Year was for a group. The award was announced by Mobb Deep and Nas, who were obviously cheered when they took the stage. The nominees were Wu-Tang Clan, Gang Starr, Salt-N-Pepa, and Heavy D and The Boys. This time, the trophy would stay in New York, anyway. This was certainly another moment when everyone went wild. The next award presented was for Single of the Year. Orlando Magic players Penny Hardaway and Dennis Scott, along with actress and Bush Wright, presented this category. The nominees were Craig Mack with Flavor in Your Ear, Bone Thugs-n-Harmony with Thuggish Ruggish Bone, Lady of Rage with Afro Puffs, and Warren G with Regulate. All names were applauded when mentioned, except for Craig Mack, who was from New York and Bad Boy Records. Craig Mack deservedly took the award. For me, this song, although released in 1994, defines 1995. Method Man, another pride of New York, gave a legendary performance of his classic Bring the Pain. In the middle of the show, he mingled with the audience. After all, he was at home. The last award presented was for Album of the Year, announced by the group Jodeci. The nominees were Ready to Die by Notorious B.I.G., Illmatic by Nas, Outkast's first album, and The Diary by Scarface. New York took the last trophy. Notorious B.I.G. won Album of the Year. He called his junior MAFIA crew and went to get his award. Perhaps some moments are missing, like the announcement of MC8 and Aaliyah, or the announcement of Nate Dogg, Lady of Rage, and others. I'm not sure, maybe some did the opening and others the closing. Or maybe they announced the Reggae Hip Hop Artist of the Year category, which Mad Lion won, and Live Artist of the Year, which B.I.G. won, finishing the night with 4 trophies. In the end, B.I.G. won in all 4 categories he was nominated for. That night, Notorious B.I.G. was crowned the King of New York. This was the biggest hip-hop award show, focused on hip-hop, and he was the biggest highlight of the night. It was really after this award show that the conflict between the West Coast and the East Coast intensified, becoming deadly for both sides in the end. I appreciated the stance of B.I.G. and Puff as well, because even though they were being attacked in front of their own allies, Puff Daddy kept his cool and still showed respect to Death Row. He was the one who stopped Notorious B.I.G. from speaking, as B.I.G. wanted to say something. The situation could have worsened, but Puff managed to maintain control. By the way, at the post-award party, despite all the commotion, Suge and his crew showed up, and Puff Daddy confronted Suge about his comments. Suge said he was talking about Jermaine Dupri, even though he knew that wasn't the case, but Puff let it go, since his name was only involved in complicated situations with Death Row. DJ Quick and others have mentioned that Suge invited stylist Lisa Hilton to his hotel after an event. Puff Daddy had his first child with this woman. It's said that Suge took a photo with her and Puff's child, but this photo has never been seen. It's said that this was the photo that made Puff so furious, to the point of wanting Suge Knight's head. A month after this commotion, the most crucial event happened that took the war to an extreme level. Suge Knight's best friend was killed at Jermaine Dupri's birthday party, who at the time was associated with Baby Boy Records. Suge Knight accused Puff Daddy of involvement in the shooting. Puff denied the accusation, but the one who killed Big Jake, Suge Knight's best friend, was Wolf, Puff's bodyguard. Wolf was known in hip-hop for attending parties and award shows with Puff Daddy, solely to protect him. Wolf was involved in the famous '99 shooting with Puff, J.Lo, and Shiny, where 3 people were shot in a nightclub. In 2003, Wolf died in a shooting also in an Atlanta nightclub, due to a dispute with Big Mitch of BMX over a woman. The night of August 3, 1995, is remembered by old school rappers as the night hip-hop died. However, it was also after that night that hip-hop reached its peak. Unfortunately, it was also the night that worsened hip-hop's worst conflict. And that's it. Subscribe here to the channel, leave your like and activate the notification bell. Leave a comment and see you soon.